Hello everyone and welcome to Play First, a channel dedicated to creating and sharing content about all things Magic the Gathering related. This video is part of a series of informational videos on what you need to know about MTG. So here is the basics. On this episode, we'll be talking about the basic card types in Magic the Gathering. Having a good understanding of the card types is essential in learning how to play Magic the Gathering. So let's begin. Grab a pile of Magic the Gathering cards and browse through them. Immediately, you'll notice that the cards are different from one another. Here, we'll break down the 6 most common card types you'll see in a game of Magic the Gathering. There's a lot more card types in MTG, but as we are just starting out, these 6 cards will be fine for us. The 6 most common card types are lands, creatures, enchantments, artifacts, instants, and sorceries. Let's have a quick look at each one. Starting off with lands. Lands are essential to playing Magic the Gathering. It's impossible or almost impossible to start off a good game of MTG without lands. Why is that? Because lands produce mana. Mana is a resource required to play or cast spells. Without lands, you probably won't be able to play a game and have fun. Lands are played only during a main phase of your turn. Also, you can only play one land a turn. Once a land hits the battlefield, it is now considered a permanent. Land cards are easily spotted from a pile of cards, as land cards usually have landscapes or sceneries as their main art. You can check these examples for lands. There are numerous land cards in Magic the Gathering. There's the most basic ones. There are those that produce colorless mana, lands that gets you another land into play, lands that destroy other lands, lands that produce 2 colors of mana, lands that deal damage to your opponent or their creatures, and lands that are just very old. Being so valuable in the game, some land cards come with steep prices. Next up are creatures. The simplest way to win in Magic the Gathering is to reduce your opponent's life total from 20 to 0. This is where creatures come in. They are best described as your fighters and defenders. Once summoned, they fight on your behalf and attack your opponents to lower their life total. Creatures are also used to defend yourself from opposing attacking creatures. This is done by blocking. This way, they are able to protect your precious life total. Creatures are played during a main phase of a turn. The most powerful creatures have many abilities, making them terrifying cards to go up against. Creature cards also become permanents as soon as they arrive on the battlefield. As creatures, they come with power and toughness. To remove creature cards from play, you must lower their toughness to 0 by means of dealing combat damage, direct damage, or by placing negative counters. Let's take a look at these examples of creature cards. Snapcaster Mage, Stoneforge Mystic, Tarmogoyf, Eidolon of the Great Revel, Dark Confident, Llanowar Elves, Progenitus, and Gorilla Titan. Now let's talk about enchantments. In a world full of magical energy, enchantments are magical effects that are placed on a particular place, creature, or player. The effect enchantments have are typically long-lasting and remain in place until the enchantment causing the effects is destroyed or removed. Enchantments can also add specific conditions to the game, which can benefit the player owning the enchantment or make playing much more difficult for the opponent. Enchantments are permanents that can only be cast during a main phase. There are even enchantment creatures in Magic the Gathering. Here are some examples of enchantments. Rest in Peace, Doubling Season, Fires of Invention, Phyrexian Arena, and Sphinx's Tutelage. There are some enchantments that affect graveyards, enchantments that affect permanents in play, enchantments that change the way you cast a spell, enchantments that gives you additional draws from your library, enchantments that target a library, and enchantments that transform into other cards. We can't explore Magic the Gathering without discovering artifacts. Just like in any other game or in real life, artifacts are like tools or objects that players and permanents can use. Similar to enchantments, artifacts are relics or items that are imbued with magical energy, thus giving them special properties that can also affect the game. The main difference between artifacts and enchantments is that artifacts are colorless permanents. Artifacts are not bound by mana color restrictions. Artifacts can also have activated abilities. These abilities are activated by either tapping the artifact, paying mana, or other activation costs. As permanents in the game, they are also played in the main phase of a turn. Take a look at the following examples of artifacts: Batterskull, Tormod's Crypt, Howling Mine, and Metal Worker. Artifacts can be equipment, which you can attach to creatures. Artifacts can also target graveyards. Artifacts can alter draw conditions, and artifacts can sometimes be creatures as well. Now let's go to magic that can happen in a blink of an eye. Instants are magical spells that target certain aspects of the game. Instants can target players or other permanents and can even target other spells. Instants generally have a one-time effect. The effect dissipates as the card's ability finishes to resolve. They are not long-lasting effects such as those given by enchantments and artifacts. Once you cast an instant, it does not become a permanent, as the card is immediately put to the graveyard after it is cast. As the name suggests, instants can be cast at any time, not just your turn. You can cast these cards during upkeep, combat, or even during your opponent's end step as an example. Examples of instants are Lightning Bolt, Path to Exile, Giant Growth, Counterspell, and Fatal Push. Last on our list of basic card types are sorceries. Sorceries are very similar to instants in that they are both magical spells. Their similarities continue in that sorceries' effects are also limited for one-time use. They are also not permanents, and sorceries are put into the graveyard as soon as their ability resolves. The main difference from instants and sorceries is that sorceries can only be cast during your main phase. Examples of sorceries are Day of Judgment, Thoughtseize, Lava Spike, Serum Visions, and Finale of Devastation. And that's it for this episode of The Basics. Hope that you now know a lot more about the basic card types in Magic the Gathering. If you like this episode, consider liking the video. Also, follow our page at PlayFirstMTG. Subscribe as well to our YouTube channel, PlayFirst. Thanks for watching, and see you!